gentlemen, put your hands together for the inimitable Julia Bird.
Top spot, that's what all boys say. Hello Hastings, I'm very happy to be here, so I'm going to start off with a sort of welcoming, bringing us all together poem, and it's called Article of Faith. Et tu, Brute. Brutus, even you. Don't tell me it's not true, the college city urban myth, that every breath you or I or anybody takes contains a single molecule of air expired with Caesar's dying words. To me, it is an article of faith that my blood, yours and everyone's is salt with 2,000-year-old oxygen, and, it follows, grains of every sneeze or yawn or opera that there's ever been. Steam from Stevenson's first rocket ride, songs that went to space and back, each bark and war cry, each World Cup whistle blast. Spartacus shouting, I'm Spartacus, Kirk Douglas shouting, I'm Spartacus. Particles of these are sherbet in our throats. And this is where I make observance, the front row seat in the stalls for the opening speech of the final act, at the foot of the soapbox in the busker's pitch, and in the market where the man who sells fruit is zesting the air with his citrus patter. Here, my lungs are nets to catch this glitterfall of exhalation to keep with Caesar's sigh and Cassius's kiss. This cloud of breaths are borrowing and lending, which links everyone, including me and you. Do you believe it too? Breathe if you do. So I thought I'd read a South Coast poem now, being as I'm here, but it's a Brighton poem. I don't know if there's a rivalry. There's a church in Brighton which is a really weird shape. It's very tall and sort of boxy, and I couldn't understand what was going on. It didn't look like any church I'd ever seen before. And somebody told me that it was built to the dimensions, the biblical dimensions of Noah's Ark. So the poem is on visiting a church built to the same dimensions as Noah's Ark. It's one thing to model secular building stock on the lines of Noah's Ark. Cubit for cubit, the measurements translate perfectly to aircraft hangars or boat huts for slightly less than ark-sized super yachts. But this architect built a church. He chartered a space with an air of stern and prow, piped parishioners abroad and called them crew. In such a space, the moment a sermon springs leaks in its logic, or hymns spin off to a pitch too high to sing, the great west doors will bang and in they'll come, lioness and lion, first of the 2x2s. Their claws click down the aisle as they make their way to the first-class cabin, and while they await the call to the captain's table, in file all the rest, beasts of the earth and the creeping things, zebras, llamas, donkeys, chimps, damp from the drizzle, humming the smell of wet rug. Hutches and cages are piled 6 deep against the chancel wall as wild and farm, zoo and pet sort themselves a berth. Snakes are stacked like freight, black and polar bears are battery tight. Here come 2 albatross, 2 barnacles, 2 death watch beetles, boring themselves a home in a load-bearing wooden beam. Every space is filled. Even the band on your sailor's hat is taut on a matchbox of germs that need to stay dry. Impossible or true, on and on they board. While whales and dolphins bob like tugs in the ark's wake and birds perch on the roof, what do you do about dogs? Would a couple of street dogs be enough? The sort bred back to basics, knee-high, wily, rough plain coats? Or would you also need the fancy ranks, the sugar bags of yak and fluff, plus those whose pedigrees part pit pony, part wolf? Build the cruft deck. 8 more dozen double kennels and slide the last boat home on silence. No bark or trumpet. An unrocked boat for a single second till the first hungry marmoset sniffs the air and a million metabolisms come on watch. Grazers, hunters and scavengers who won't last 40 minutes without eating. The quick fix is the food chain laid down from the top deck to steerage. Long term, this idea won't float, so into the already overloaded ark you pack hay nets, food bowls and salt licks, barrels of rum-soaked orchids for the nectar sippers, and in every spare corner, wedged and bent, bundles of fibrous, splintered, juiceless stalks for the bambirexic pandas. This thought's voyage is fully underway. It's too far out to sea to head back to safe port. Press on we must and face the inevitable consequence. Good God, the mess. The crap, the cack, the piss. The cobbled piles of pachyderm manure, owl pellets, bird lime, a slurried flood of cowpats and fly spots, rising more quickly than you ever could muck out, already up to the ruffs of the choir boys. Forgive them their panic as they scuttle the ship and let the animals escape in flocks, in packs, in herds. A swarm. Stampede. The minute blueprints for this brick-built ark were laid, holes ripped in the story's hull, and the sea came pouring in. It's one thing to think unsinkable, but speaking it aloud, and you sooner said than sunk, all hands and hooves and trotters lost. This is the ship's log. Every page of it is perforated. One by one we tear them out, fold them into origami boats, take them to the beach, and hope they're buoyant when the waters rise. Now, you look like a crowd that know what Nya Taimori is. Well, just in case, you need a little bit of a reminder, it's the art of eating sushi off the body of a naked woman. And the male equivalent, if you want to eat sushi off the body of a naked man, is nantai mori. And so I thought that's fascinating. I have to write a poem about that, but I'm not Japanese. So my poem is called Today's Special. Today's Special is the full English, served on your starker's damask of your matchless waitress, me, salt scrubbed and squeaky and balanced on the granite breakfast bar. Golden clouds of scrambled R spooned between my pinkening tits. It's self-service. Pick from the parquet of rashers along my thighs, the slices of pudding which petal my navel, alternating black and white, the fig leaf triangle of toast, wholemeal, its butter curl about to relax its constituent parts, sunshine and oil. And if you're still not full, the picnic's also in my repertoire. Sandwiches arranged in rows down my left side, up my right side, bite-sized ham or cheese, set like a gambit in chess. Once, I laid out tea for two, face down, split scone, clotted cream, bramble jam, on the lazy Susan of my bum. Every social situation comes off in the context of rules, while punctilious insistence on the niceties of etiquette is the mark of a snob or lack of ease in company, diner a reminder, do not overfill your plate. Compliment your hostess. It's rude to use your knife to point. This feast has hollowed the fridge. We're down to the crumbs of the cake you made last week when you ran your finger round the bowl and held it out, and your breakfast's getting cold. So come on now, dig in. So the best 7 cries I had this year were all on the day when David Bowie died. So this is a poem not necessarily about David Bowie, but it's about a friend of mine's brother who's a photographer and took a series of images of male models who were in very Bowie-esque poems, and it's a response to one of those images, and it's called, slightly contravening all sorts of copyright laws, it's called As They Pulled You Out of the Oxygen Tent, You Asked for the Latest Party. Of all our friends, he's the one most serious about the art of fancy dress. Every cupboard in his flat is stuffed with bags of outfits and face paint, feathered half masks and costume diamonds. Once, before a monochrome ball, we fed him penny licorice chews to change the red bell of his mouth to black. And if the dress code is drag, our tallest girl lends him her highest heels and he'll stand all night at an angle slightly off from true, with the muscles bunching in his back and fire in the arches of his feet. Tonight, the theme is saints and sinners. Wearing only dark, high-waisted trousers, he is topless, and his skin, we say, is markedly pale as that of a Charolais calf. Ask him who he is. He's Sebastian, a half an hour before the arrows hit. In 8 places, we can see his heartbeat. I wrote this for an event I did that was celebrating the scary 30th anniversary of the release of Raiders of the Lost Ark. And it's a pantoum, so it's one of those poems that sort of repeats its lines, taking one step forward and two steps back. And it's about the absolutely fundamental to my adult development scene in the boat where Indy's rescued her, and she forces him to ask her to kiss him. The pronoun's very tricky, but that did terrible things to me at an early age. It's not the years, honey, it's the mileage. There are places where it doesn't hurt. Elbow, forehead, eyelid, lips. If you won't ask me, I'll make you ask me. A kiss felt in a million mouths. Elbow, forehead, eyelid, lips. One kiss used, then lost, then sold to a museum. A kiss felt in a million mouths. A story with sequels and subtext. One kiss used, then lost, then sold to a museum. I'm not the first girl to have travelled with pirates. A story with sequels and subtext. Sometimes we all go out in a borrowed dress. I'm not the first girl to have travelled with pirates. Scrapes and grazes, bullet nicks. Sometimes we all go out in a borrowed dress. A lovely moonrock-coloured dress. Scrapes and grazes, bullet nicks. If you won't ask me, I'll make you ask me. A lovely moonrock-coloured dress. There are places where it doesn't hurt. So I wrote a series of poems which I call Poems to be Read on One Breath, and they're all sort of one great big long sentence, which when I'm at home and relaxed I can read all in one go, but when I'm nervous and a bit adrenalised and everyone's looking at me, I have to cheat and do some more breathing. But this is Poem to be Read on One Breath, Lilac. She says she's heard lip readers can't distinguish between the words comfortable and the words I love you. So I tell her that my hairdresser, who has a lilac lily in an ossuary of blackwork skulls tattooed on his forearm, always asks if I'm comfortable with the temperature of the water gurgling about my ears, and that one day I will answer, I love you too, over the noise of the dozen dryers and last year's Ministry of Sound CD compilation as he dollops on the conditioner. A poem to be read on one breath, Emerald. You will occasionally bump into, on your way to get the Saturday Guardian, some Maltesers and a pint of milk, a young woman with undone hair and a face bare of everything but coat pocket lipsil, wearing taxi shoes and a sequin dress designed for the flat white light of morning the way an emerald tree frog is camouflaged on a beach. And you know that she's just another girl making the walk of shame. But that is not what shame feels like to you. Not at all. Poem to be read on one breath, Blue. I am bathing my toddler nephew and doing so cautiously as there are so many ways to shop soil someone else's child in a setting such as this, such as scolding or drowning or man-o'-war attack. But still, we're having a useful chat about plastic seafood tub toys, during which I say octopus and he says doctopa, and I say octopus and he says octopa, and I say octopus and he says octopus. And I see the blue flash as the relevant neuron wriggles its tentacles into place and locks them down forever. It's fluffy and wispy, I like it all. So some new things now, what have I got lined up? Oh, yes, so this was for an anthology of poems about female friendship, and at the time I was writing it, my mum was not very well, and she's just at the age where all her friends are a little bit not very well, and they rally around each other in an amazing sort of social but also quite enjoying themselves sort of a way, and so I wanted to write about that and just honour my mum and her friends, but it's all in the voices of, we know the Pink Ladies, we all know the Pink Ladies. From Greece? Yeah, Pink Ladies, okay. So Greece is set in 1959, so they'd been born in 1941. So in 2014, when I wrote the poem, they're 73. So this poem was called Oh God, 70, can you believe, come over, no cake, brackets, for Rizzo on her birthday. And as you go through, you'll work out in whose voice it is. Perhaps the frosting on the cake is too pink. The lid slipped on the food dye and I had no time to start again. Besides, the colour scheme options are fixed and it's not like even she would eat a cake I'd buttercreamed and black. And who's to say how pink is too pink anyway? Make sure it's flat in the back there. Don't squash it. Please don't squash it more. Marty, sweet, okay with me up front? Forget the seatbelt if your stitches are sore. I'll go slow and skip the bumps and skip the black and whites as well. But cops would never flag us down, 4 old ladies in a beige sedan. I am speaking for myself, and old is what I say. My new old lady pills arrived today. Blood, heart, lungs, water. I got so many pills, I sound like a maraca. This time, truly, we are seniors. And your week, French? 5 years on Friday since he went. It's the middle of the night that brings her home the most. 2 a.m., 3, 4, you call, I'm here. We're here, and Lord, who's this one bursting out the door? Betty's daughter's youngest, little Riz, who teed on Jan's gold bangle, who's on that porch step holding a pose as if the blue night air itself should tune its pipes and play the girl a song, who springs across the lawn, who slaps our windshield with a high five and leaps on the back of a curbside bike, who's a faint red brake light and is gone. So it's in the voice of Sandy. I wrote this poem for it was a fashion company startup, and they had this marvelous idea about how they wanted their journalism and their PR to not be very sort of corporate puffy speak. They wanted poets to write poetry things, and so I wrote this. It took me 9 ages. It was a poem about an Alexander McQueen dress. And I slaved over it, and the company went bust, so they never did anything with it. So, but I got the poem, and we got on have the poem. I don't know if there are Alexander McQueen fans in the audience, but it was, well, hey! Do you know the white dress? It's got like white feathers that come up the back, and it was styled very white and big, and like cling film hat and big red lips. So keep that dress in your head, because this is what it's about. Swan Prayer. And I went to an exhibition of Alexander McQueen photos of this dress taken by the photographer Nick Watlington, and all the dresses were interposed with pictures of rubbish tips. I think it was a comment, consumerism, something. So Swan Prayer. Swan, who's a bunch of milk roses. Swan with poppies in your beak, whose feet are lilies picked to be dyed black. My prayer is more. More of the cut minerals and dressed pelts monogrammed with air miles, worn once and then thrown. More hot technology, more oat orology, still watertight, fathoms down. Max me out, pile my plate, let whatever has been mined be burned. Grant me further, faster, newer, rarer, or if I can't have this, then give me less. Please. Release us from the weight of what we own. Strip the dresses and the vaults one by one, rip the image down, make all the things that we assert be subject to the sweet dissolve and rot. Flick the switch on a light, take the heat from our thought. Swan, I'll make my mind a bowl and scrape it clean for you to fill with more of nothing than anyone. Oil black, rust red, bone white, swan. So I've got an illustrated pamphlet called Now You Can Look, coming out next year with the Emma Press. And it's the story of an artist from the 30s, a woman who, she's a fictional woman, but she is a woman who ran away from her very upper middle class upbringing to nick off with the artists and become a raggle-taggle artist. And she falls in love with a rough boy artist, and this is the sex scene from the pamphlet, and it's an overwhelming torrent of words that don't really make much sense but should sound nice. So, let's go. She stands in the bedroom doorway wearing his gift, saying, "Don't look yet." At the yellow kimono that's drunk up all the colours from the room and left it silver gelatin. At the volume and the line. the hem like cut butter from an icebox drawn against the billows and the drape, at the flowers in sewn sutras on the borders and cuffs, the wreath of the wrist corsage, the unknown April verge, at what the silkworm willed, giving up its racia green, its pearl cross mink, at the charge, sparked from the model like the first in a chain of beacons being lit, again at the yellow, which is topaz rung, at the hooks and eyes, of which there are none, at the vertical, like a line of lamplight at a voyeur's door, the spill that isn't silk but skin, at the skin and curls, at the curls and silk, and now you can look. Just a couple of more woolly ones and then the finale. So I'm also writing a sequence of poems which is based on the research of this American psychologist who maintains that he has made a list of the 36 questions that if you're on a hot date with someone and you ask each other these 36 questions, which start off very bland and end up very intimate, by the end of it you definitely, absolutely, positively will have fallen in love. And I'm going to write one poem for each of the 36 questions. So I think this is number 2, and the question is, would you like to be famous, and in what way? Half an hour too early for the press call, the Echo's second staff photographer shoots an ad hoc picture essay. Click. The instant hamlet of caravans and trucks sprung up in the lee of the big top. Wind on. The clown, known by the squirting daisy pinned to the plaid lapel of his dressing gown, sharing his toast with a dog walking backwards on a ball balanced on the foot of the limbering acrobat. The dog's not fazed by the two-tone trumpet blast of the elephant calling all the hacks and snappers to the ring. A beast built of tarmac over redwood poles, her keeper keeps his palm in the secret chamois place behind her ear. Ladies and gents of the press, the reason we're here, our pachydermatous duchess, placid as a baby, forceful as a tank, we think the old girl swallowed a can of Coke and we've had to call the army in to check. Notebooks, shorthand, flashbulbs. Enter the bomb squad whose tools and skills can pinpoint metal in the dark. Back and forth they sweep their kit across her armoured hide, but nothing flashes, no dial spins, no red and white striped tin is twirling through the grey. Boys and girls, I thank you for your time. Luckily, a false alarm. Make sure you note that Friday night the Duchess is due to perform. Meanwhile, in a tent at the top of the pitch away from the crowd, the aerial artiste turned death-defying publicist consults her touring maps and plans the photo ops. Scotland next, where the Duchess is set to discover a taste for iron brew. The elephant straightens her trunk as if to hose us all with water. We're drenched in torn-up paper and turquoise glitter. Balloons. The man who stands all day in the high street selling helium balloons is, thinks Pearl, weighed down by the cumulus of gas and foil capping low above his head. The drag on him of 100 fat cartoons tugging their leads like young dogs. What if he doesn't sell out? What if his mate doesn't show when he said he would? How would he ever herd his balloons tangling and bumbling into any coffee shop? Pearl knows that even one small silver pup, in its 2 dimensions startled into 3, will not sit still in the changing room, sit still on the bus. It only wants to drop and dive back to the sun. Pearl thinks that, when the time comes, this is what it might be like to mourn, to tie each elevating death with a ribbon to your wrist and feel its unexpected weight every time a door revolves, or you're at the theatre in a front seat, or you're putting on or you're taking off your coat. So thank you very much for having me. It's been lovely, very kind of you to call me in, Sarah. And I'm going to finish with a poem which is sort of the reason why I'm here, really. My lovely friend Will at the back. When I lived in Balham, Will ran a flower stall by the Balham tube station, and he used to stand there looking like Pan, surrounded by all these blooms of foliage. And so I thought we'd better have a poem, and it's called The Preservation of Flowers. Between the cab firm and the chicken shop, the pavement cracked and a flower stall sprang up, the city's special offer to the passer-by. It stocks every colour flower except grey, 24/7 blossom, the odds-on bees, and a sign which says you can smell the flowers for free. It checks the street. Those who used to hurry are slowed and sold on bouquets of gorgeous and sorry. They pick the florist too. He's a bunch of bluebell eyes and blooming sailor's pitch, daisy grin and hip-slung money belt, lily pollen brushed across his shirt. Certain customers he slips an extra rose in the dozen. To certain customers he says, Angel, if you want them to last a little bit longer, add a teaspoon of sugar to the water. Thank you very much.